Welcome to Purim Katan Diburim. When you try to be this year, if it will be qualified to be called a shir, is Lil Nishmas Rabbi Yamin ben Yitzchak Meir, who survived World War II as a young man. He was Meisei Nefesh to be a Erlich Yid, and he was Meisei Nefesh. His grandson told me that he went around after the war and he would buy up all the soaps that the Nazis made from Yiddish people. They made soap out of their bodies, and he bought them up. He spent lots of money buying it up to bury it, to bring the crew. And I'm sure he's involved in a lot of amazing Mesiras Nefesh into raising Erlich families. Shimon Schwab is Adam Goldel. My father actually, all of us actually grew up in the home of Shimon Schwab. My father, Rav Shimon Schwab, was the Rav in Baltimore. And my father's lived in a small town in Maryland called Indian Head, Maryland. And at the age of 8 years old, he decided he is going to yeshiva in Baltimore. He had an older brother that was in school over there. And they went on a Sunday to visit. And they took my father along, and he decided he's staying in yeshiva. He didn't want to go back to Indian Head, Maryland, back to public school. So they put him up to board in Rabbi Schwab's house. And so he grew up as one of the siblings of Rabbi Schwab's house. I heard a lot of fond memories of
767.
Reb Shimon Schwab's home, and the Kav Yashar is Tzvi Hershman of Shmuel, Ran Baron Shmuel Kaden was a big tzaddik and a mekubal, and definitely a tzaddik who he lived in times of the Pnei Yeshua in the 1600s. No, not 1600s. In the mid 1600s to the mid to late 16, early 1700s. Probably born around 1650, and he lived to early 1700s. The Sefer Kav Yashar is a sefer that is a well-known Mussar sefer, and it has in a lot of interesting views from Pnimius and the Chazal that have to do with real Hasiris, that a lot of they didn't pull any punches in his sefer. This is Chosin Agolenu. Holding Purim Katan is a very probably a yontiv that is very much lost in Klal Yisrael, and hence that makes it such a perfect time for people that have Pnimius Atayra share, because Pnimius Atayra is always looking for what's behalten, what's hidden, what's not Gali Lakol. It's Gali Lakol, so everyone knows Purim Katan is a day that I would imagine 99% of the Klal Yisrael is unaware that it's Purim Katan. They may casually not say Tachana tomorrow.
No Tachana.
No Tachana.
No Seach either.
No Seach and no Tachana by Mincha today. However, the fact that to actually be this Eire with wine and the bas and yayin, I don't know how many people, and the emphasis, I don't know if I would have thought to be Masari too much about it, but thank you, Ari, for being the master of Hasiris, and bring people together for good things. And when the site is when something's overlooked, so when there's diamonds that no one else is grabbing, so that they're there for the taking for those that want to actually focus on the Pnimius that's there. So Purim Katan has in it obviously some sort of beginning of Purim, and Purim we know is that Kala Mayad Masid Libato Chutz Purim, right? There's something about Purim that is so unique. The Hasiris and the Hashpos and the Iris that come down to Klal Yisrael that are truly unique. And if you could tap into the time of Purim, the kaichas of Purim at a time where no one else is, so your mamash could be zeichem and a hefker. So let's see, if you could somehow be ma'ir ourselves to somehow tap into the iris, the emunah, the simcha, the shleimus that Purim is, and Purim is ultimately what is Purim? Purim ultimately is this man where there's a tremendous bikush for geula. That's what the Yom of Purim is. It's a geula. It's like a geulas Mitzrayim. There's a geulas Purim, and us celebrating or thinking about Purim should give us a sense of really connecting to a tremendous desire for a geula krayva b'mheira. the Bnei Yisachar, just looking at it quickly, and he has a nice big shtickle on Purim. I don't see that he's talking about Purim Katan per se, but he talks about Purim. What's unique about Purim? So he says that Purim, 3 years Lashon, he says that the Ba'adar Hischilu Nisim Nistarim Mulubashim Bateva. Shehi Hanhaga Misuderes Misheshin Mebreshis. Mashe Enke Nisim Niglim Beshidun Hamaracha, who names the Shaita Bigzerasi Yisprach Shmai, Nishanes Hased El Chibas Banav. So he says, Chai Yisrael is different Yom Tovim, that we celebrate different Nisim. We don't really celebrate Nisim, but we have Zmanim where the Zman is Mesuga for Nes, and the iris of that Nes, those Nisim are there to influence us and to inspire us. And so that you take, let's say, Yontif of Pesach is a Yontif Yitzias Mitzrayim, where the Nisim were Nisim Gluyim. Nisim Gluyim is you describes it of Shidud Hamaracha, which means that the whole teva, the whole function of the world was mixed up, and we have a totally new hanhaga. That's a nes gully. Adar is a nes, but it's a very behalten nes, right? It's a nes that's nistarm melubashim bateva, meaning if it's to the casual onlooker, you read the nes, you read the Megillah, right? The Megillah is all sorts of things happen over a period of a number of years. Interesting things happen. Things come together. Kingdoms fall, kingdoms change. People rise up. People lose their jobs. Right? Everything can very much be explained, over a period of time. Yeah, things happen, things change. People that were powerful end up being not powerful, etc. But we know that Megillah, the Megillah tells us that the whole Purim was orchestrated, right, ultimately to bring about a tremendous Yeshua for Klal Yisrael, and a tremendous Gilui of Kvayt Shemayim and Mesiras Nefesh of the Tzaddikim, and the whole Klal Yisrael was Lahudim Haisa Arv Simcha. There's a tremendous transformation of Klal Yisrael that came through all this Hanhaga Nisis that's Mulubashim B'Teva. Okay, so he says that's the Chiddush of Adar, which really would be something to focus on, meaning that once the message that you take from Nisim, that Mulubashim B'Teva, is that every person looks at their life, and they'll recognize that your whole life is one big Nes Melubash B'Teva, and when you recognize that, so that is really how Purim is sort of the message of Purim, and the Simcha of Purim can be experienced in the normal everyday of life. Interestingly enough, right, that this type of celebration would be called the celebration of Tamid, right? Mitzvah Gedolah Liyos B'Simcha Tamid. You know where that pasuk is? I think it's who said it? Nachum says it. Yeah, so not a pasuk, right? But there is this inyan of Simcha Tamid, right? So if you wanted to know where the shirish of Simcha Tamid would be, finding.
Well, it does say it was a term Simcha in capital Kof.
Right, but it doesn't say Tamid.
Okay.
That's what you're doing. Hashem, Avadi B'Simcha, right? Who doesn't put on the tefillin and have a hard time keeping themselves anchored to the ground with not being lifting up from the Kedusha tefillin? But to be sitting and eating something mundane like a piece of Hasselback salami, right? Right. How do you have the simcha dveikus HaKadosh Baruch Hu in that? That is a lesson. That is Purim. Purim is simcha, mishta, and dveikus all comes together, right? Because that's a message of Purim. He explains over here that it's an inyan of in Seder Habriya. He brings down from a medrash that the Malach that's in charge of Chodesh Adar, his name is big. The name is Avarchi Kel, with an aleph and a lamed on the end, and he says that's big matcha Seder. Okay, this is a malach that's memuna that's memuna on Seder, and in Seder that's where all these nisim come down. So Nisan Adar is a Zman. Purim is a time of Simcha Tamid. Okay, Mitzvah Gedai Lias B'Simcha Tamid is going to be, the Makar is going to be Adar. So interestingly enough, we have in the Ramah, the last Ramah in Shulchan Aruch, the last Siman in Shulchan Aruch. Okay, in Shulchan Aruch Arachaim. Okay, so in the Mishnah Berurah is going to be the last Siman in in the Chelik Vav, at the end of our Chaim, Siman Taf Reish Tzadi Zayin. It says as follows. Yom Yudal v'Tezvav Shabbat Rishon. Ein Neifel al Pneim. Vein Ayim Mizmar Yam Hashem B'Yam Tzara V'Asurim B'Hesped V'Tainis Al Shar Dvar Mein Noigim B'Hem. Right, so it's a mini yontif. Right, there's no tachnun, there's no lamanatzeach, as we heard from our Gabbai over here, and there's no espeditinus, but there's no other mitzvahs. Yeshayim Daf Hesped V'Tainis is mutarim. The Ramah says a minikis far rishoina, right? That even hespeditinus, that hespeditinus is also aser. Now, the Ramah fears ice. Last words of Arachaim. Yesh oimim shechayev laharbais b'mishta v'simcha b'yadal sheba'ad rishon. That's the Torah b'shem harbeinu peretz. Ve'ein noyagim kain. That is not the minik. Mikol mokaim zakt the Ramah yarbek sas b'suda kedei lotze sidei machmirim. Okay, so we're making a suda tonight is we're being big machmirim. If you didn't realize,
because the suda has to be by the day.
Suda has to be by the night. That's we didn't Hilchos Purim, but we didn't Purim Katan.
Well, some people watch by the night also.
You're going to see that we're being Mekayim the Ramah even better if you're doing that at night. So if you say you're not a machmir, du bist a machmir, right? What are the last 4 words of the Ramah in Shulchan Aruch? The Toiv Leiv Mishteh Tamid. Okay, it's a passing of Mishlei Tezvav. Okay, Toiv Leiv Mishteh Tamid. A person who is good-hearted, right? Mishteh Tamid. His life is always a party. Okay, that's how the Ramah finishes off Shulchan Aruch Chaim. How does it fit with what we're saying? It comes out Gavaldik, right? Because in as much as that the whole yontif of Purim and the simcha of Purim is that it tells us that there's always nisim that are melubashim beteva, and which means that the simcha of Purim gives us the toiv leiv of Mishteh Tamid. So Mela, that's really what I think is maybe something to focus on in our lives, when we're celebrating a yontif of Purim Katan, is that the Taiv Leiv Mishteh Tamid, which means that being appreciating all the nisim that are melubashim beteva. And I think the longer you live, the more you realize it. You know, you look back at yourselves when you're my age, and you're not going to believe that what your life looks like. Who would have thought, right, that you look in the mirror, I've said this before, and you see someone you never in a million years would ever recognize as being anyone remotely related to yourself, staring you back in the mirror, and then you see all these people in your life that are walking all over your house, making you these huge messes, and you're wondering where did they come from, and then you look around and you see that you actually you had an opportunity to do mitzvahs and to daven and to learn small amounts of Torah, and you're just blown away from this Chesed Hashem. That's mamash melubish b'teva. Growing up in Baltimore and going to the JCC 5 out of 7 days a week to play basketball. You know what I'm saying? And running after who knows what, right? And to find that the b'derech nes melubish b'teva, people get transformed to have an opportunity to find the Kadosh Baruch Hu in their lives. This idea of Taiv Leiv Mishteh Tamid is really a it's a game changer in a person's ability to thrive in his avodas Hashem. Just to say a way that I was thinking about over Shabbos is a person who's Tov Leiv Mishteh Tamid. Why is he always celebrating? Because he has a lot of gratitude for everything he has. Everything's a gift. And the difference between a person being happy in life and being successful is when everything is a gift. So you can't believe how lucky you are, and every day you wake up your eyes and right? You can't believe how lucky you are. Right? If a person puts on his tefillin, he cannot believe how lucky he is. A person davens Shemona Esrei, and he cannot believe, right, that he could daven Shemona Esrei. Now, what's the most exciting part about all this, right? Just to put a little perspective, right? Because people say, "Well, I don't like daven Shemona Esrei, and I don't per se enjoy my tefillin per se, and I don't like, So but what is the joy of it? The joy of it, the emes is that everything we do as a Yid in Avodas Hashem is so appreciated by the Kadosh Baruch Hu. And the Kadosh Baruch Hu is sitting there just celebrating every avodah that he does. When you recognize that I have an opportunity, literally to bring joy to the Melech Malchei Malchei Kadosh Baruch Hu, that's a total sense of gratitude. The person cannot believe that how fortunate he is every moment of his life. This is the midah of Haid, the midah of gratitude. So when a person is Taiv Le'Mishat Tamid, he's living in the world of Haid. What is the advantage of living in the world of Haid? Okay, so I was looking at the I was looking at a sefer this week on Shabbos. It must have been the Zohar. It says and this has to do with Chodesh Adar, that we mentioned from the Sefer Yetzirah that Chodesh Adar is Eis Kuf, right? Let's read the lashon of Sefer Yetzirah. Himlech Eis Kuf b'schik v'kasher le'keser. Sorry, by dog ba'olam v'adar b'shalom t'chal b'nefesh zachar nikev. Okay, Himlech Eis Kuf b'schik. We spoke about what is Eis Kuf. Eis Kuf is Bechin of Malchus, right? That's Raglei Yardis Maves. The leg of the kuf goes down beneath the line, which symbolizes that Malchus, the midah of Malchus, is the lowest level of Olam Hazeh, and it actually goes into the Raglei Yardis Maves, which means the leg extends down into the Makaimus of Tumah, which means in Malchus, in the Bechin of Malchus, there's a possibility of an achiza of the chitzainim of the kayach satum of the Welt. People have nisyanis. Why do people have nisyanis in this world? Because we're living in Olam Hazeh, and Olam Hazeh is just a step above the Olam HaTachton of Tumah, right? Or the way it is nowadays is probably a lot of there's Tumah mixed in, and the Tumah has an achiz on people, right? Tumah affects people. So Mela, a person has Tumah grabbing onto him. So Mela, he's conflicted, right? Because the Tumah gives him mixed messages. The Tumah makes all sorts of taiv and all sorts of nisyanis, and Mela, he's living a life of milchama. Okay, so when a person is living in the Olam in Kuf, right, which is Raglei Yardis Mavis, which is connected to the Chodesh of Adar, right, which is Olam HaTeva, right, like we're saying Adar, everything is Melubish B'Teva. So Memela, he has a lot of nisyonis. So she says in Zohar the ability for the chitzainim, they could be eiches in Malchus, and where are they eiches to? They are eiches in midah of Yisayid, right? Yisayid is the midah right above Malchus. Maybe could be to Yisayid Sheva Malchus, but their ability to be Eiches is in the lowest level of Malchus. What's the lowest level of Malchus? I mean, Malchus is, you have to picture Malchus. When you talk about any madrega, you're talking about the mashal of every olam is a mashal of a person. Okay. When you talk about an olam has hanhag of all the midas, and the mibnag of a person's body is a mashal of every olam. Okay, meaning every olam has a midah of chesed, has an gvura, has an itferes, netzachayit, yisayid, and malchus. Okay, so in the olam ha-malchus, right, you have, if you picture in the muscle of a person's body, you have a right hand is chesed, vura, tferes is the middle of the person, netzach is your right leg, hide is your left leg, and your side is the aver habris. Okay, so Zakta Zohar, the lowest point of a person's mivna when you look at a person, what is the lowest point of a person? You think your lowest point is your toes, right? I think the lowest point is your toes. That's to look at your stuff. That's not the way it is, right? The lowest point of a person is me to say the aver abris. Your side is the lowest point. The side is the chelik of a person, or the chelik of an olam that has the shlit of chitzayim. As I state in Zar, it could be because this is the lowest point. Right, the leg is actually extended a little bit further down, but talk about from the mivna guf, the yisaid is be'emes the lowest point. So it's netzach height, and yisaid is here. Meil hayesh yisaid is the bottom point of the olam. Ra has a shlit in yisaid. Okay, now we know why there's such tremendous nisyanis when it comes to the kedusha of Yisaid, right? Kedusha Sabris is a tremendous nisayin, right? Rabbi Shur said on Shabbos that Shavim Tat would really extend past Tetzava, but Purim Katan ends Shavim Tat. Purim Katan is what forces to end it in Tetzava. That's what he said. He says Shaitan Svarim that Shavim will really extend weiter. But once it comes Purim Katan, that's the end of the line for Shavim Tat. So he says that. So we're really here talking about the Shavim Tat because this is what we're finishing up. But that's why there's such nisyanis when it comes to Kedushas Habris, because this is the chelik of the person where there's mostly it's achitzainim. If a person wants to rise above all the achiza of the chitzayim, of the tumah, all the nisyanis, all the tsar that's nigram from this struggle and the conflict that the tumah makes, what does he have to do? He has to move his existence up a level, right? How do you move up a level? What's right above your side? Right. Move up the height, right? The person who's refusing to upgrade his outlook to height to one of gratitude, so he's not gratitude. He always needs more. If you need more, when you need more. You need more of a lot of things that are going to bring you a lot of conflict into your life. When a person moves up to the midah of height, so then he's in the madrega of taiv leiv mishta tamid. So Adar, it becomes the fertile ground, being connected to Olam HaMalchus, Olam HaTeva, that we have the ability of applying in the Malchus, right, where there is a makom of Shlita Chitzainim, this idea of Taiv Leiv Mishta Tamid, a sense of height, to move ourselves up, Lamalif and all the Nisyonis and all the Achiz of the Ra, and to actually be David HaKadosh Baruch Hu, feel this tremendous sense of Taiv Leiv Mishta Tamid. A lot of people, Shai Tshuva over here brings down from the Birkei Yosef, who makes a very interesting note. He says the last word of the Ramah in Shulchan Aruch Chaim is v'tayv leiv mishta tamid, and they tushtal to be night seifi b'tchila. Say, what are the first words of the Ramah in Shulchan Aruch? Shvisi Hashem lenegdi samid. So the Ramah is he's in the bookends of Shulchan Aruch Chaim, which is the way we lead our lives every day, and meant to give us a dveikus HaKadosh Baruch Hu in our hanhaga yom yomis, right? It's surrounded by the two tamids, Taiv Leiv Mishta Tamid and Shvisi Hashem Lenegdi Samid. And the people say that generally the same idea, and that is if a person wants to be in the madrega of Taiv Leiv Mishta Tamid, you want to actually have a life that is full of happiness and an ability to celebrate. That's only built on Shvisi Hashem Lenegdi Samid. If you don't have the Shvisi Hashem Lenegdi Samid, don't try to apply the Taiv Leiv Mishta Tamid, because Taiv Leiv Mishta Tamid without the Shvisi Hashem Lenegdi Samid is going to be a life of hailus, not a life of connection. But if a zayvite, a person has employed in his life the first side the Ramah, Shvisi Hashem Lenegdi Tamid, then avada, he could be zaycha to live every life with a sense of gratitude, connection to Kadosh Baruch Hu, Taiv Leiv Mishta Tamid, Shvishtak be zaycha, to have tremendous iris and Purim Katan and all the iris that are out there waiting to be poured down on those that are seeking it, should be poured onto all of us and whole Klal Yisrael, and should be zeicha to attitude of gratitude, Taiv Leiv Mishta Tamid, together with the tremendous experience of Shvisi Hashem Lenegdi Samid.